Susanne, really nice to have you here in the hot chair. You are somewhere in Oslo, I take it, or are you somewhere else in the world? Because you're a frequent traveler.
Yeah, I'm a frequent traveler, but the last 9 months has been different. I'm based in Oslo, and I do quite a lot of these Zoom meetings. So very good to see you, Joachim.
Yes, and I'd like to start. I put a theme on this interview: scale for the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good sort of thing, because the first time I met you, you helped us. This was way back, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, and you came and really gave us some advice on scale for the world. And you know, I had on Wednesday I had Robert, your friend in the board, and we were talking about rollout, and he's really good at scaling up and all that. But I think what's really make you unique is that for a fintech company, you know the process for a fintech company, and I really would like to start there, if you may. Can't you just tell us a little bit on what does it mean for a fintech company to scale for the world? What steps do you have to go through?
Yeah, there's various steps, but we usually start with the product and do a thorough technical DD with the product, so see it's a product market fit. And then there are usually regulations around the financial services and fintechs. You haven't come to that yet, but you will get into it with your broad scaling, and in particular into the Indian market. So, and these are changing so that's something. And then the teams is vital for you to scale, that you have all kinds of. So we also do a due diligence on the team and the processes you're having. And my favorite is the commercialization and how you do the sales process. Is it you guys selling directly to the market? And you are in the B2B market, so you might do it directly, or you can have the distributors that can do it on behalf of you with a small kickback on that one. Yeah. Scaling for the world, it's a huge market. You're based in Malmö in Sweden, and you have taken some parts there, so you are live on that one. And then you have the Indian market, which is so much bigger. And then in the cultural aspect that comes into it, what is the product market fit in that region? And I know you've done quite a lot. And then it comes to the communication. How well are you communicating your brand, your products, and so forth? It's crowded out there, so you need to be unique both on the product side and also on the communication side to get through the, I would say, the ozone layer.
Yeah. Would you say that when we kicked in, and because it's sort of, I don't know, you might have seen it before, but we felt we were pretty bold that we hadn't really succeeded in Sweden yet. At that time it was Blipit, but we said let's start looking at, and you were part of those board meetings where we said I don't know, the Clearon CEO who was, or he wasn't CEO, but he was the chairman, and he was the chairman of Blipit. He said we have to do it under the radar. Just to get going, and I'm happy that Lars Paulsson, I think, sort of was behind that. But I know you were supportive, but why was it a wise move for us to go for India? Would you say?
Coming up with the products and services that you are, Sweden and the Nordic, they have come far, so they are far when it comes to the infrastructure. Going to a more virgin market that India is still in, and with the connections that you had at the time, and probably very fortunate that you got in contact with the people down there, and then looking at the market, looking at the trends, everything that's happening, and the regulation, I wouldn't say regulation, but the government and the prime minister is so pro digital payments, and he's putting his weight on the moving it forward from analog, meaning notes, to digital payments. And then with India having, of course, the big cities, but they also have the rural area where your product is fitting right in.
Yeah, now we're talking about the digital cash one, the digital cash, because it's all about replicating the properties of cash. Obviously, cash always works, and I think you need that in the countryside, because you certainly don't have a perfect connectivity there. So I know.
And that's why I think your offline solution is a hit because rural area they have, as you say, some challenges with the connectivity and electricity. So then having an offline, you're not stopping the shopping. You just continue with the shopping, including the offline, and the merchants are happy. The buyer is happy. So it's a perfect win-win situation.
Yeah, but what's really going on now, because I remember before the COVID days, they had about, I don't know, maybe 2% overall where they had declines that they, calls or sort of payments couldn't go through because of connectivity issues. Now it's between 5 and 10%. And the reason what has happened in India is that, it's a cash market, where 80% of the retail transactions is cash. And a lot of people don't want to touch the cash anymore, not the merchants, nor the customer. And that has put so much strain on the servers for the banks. So it is what's happening now is that there is a 20-second time window for real-time payments, that unless the bank can respond in 20 seconds, it will be a decline. You have connectivity, you have money on the bank, but you're standing and waiting and waiting and waiting, and after 20 seconds it will fail. And that has caused sort of 5 to 10% failure rate right now. And it's not just real-time payments. I know you have a background from the card industry. It affects, it's the same service. So the banks, recently, I think it was one bank, the Central Bank of India denied them to launch a new card service simply because they felt that, no, your service can't cope. They're not sort of up to it, really.
Yeah, and the Nordics, they were early out with the card payments and so forth. So that goes for Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Finland, Iceland as well. And there they had something called a stand-in process if the time in between there. But then you have a whole system that the clearing and settlement and the MasterCard and the Visas and so forth. With your solution, you're kind of cutting all the middlemen, and then go straight to the offline situation where everything, of course, using the cloud in a different way. So you're taking the best of the two worlds. You're taking a huge market which is emerging quite rapidly, as meaning India, and then you're taking the state-of-the-art technology and using that. So the strain that the pandemic has put on the market in India is of course pushing the banks and the federal bank to have bigger servers and making sure the transaction is going through. But what the heck? Why don't you use the offline situation or solution that Crunchbase and Blipit is providing? So then you're home free. So that's why I think this is a huge opportunity in the fintech, in the Indian market with your solution. And India is there, and then you have the Southeast Asia. So that there's a huge opportunity, but you have to move fast, very fast.
Yeah, we're doing our best, Susanne. We're doing our best. It's busy time right now, but we're having fun, which is. I remember this was in my previous company. I was developing a way to how to automatically plan frequencies in mobile networks, and we had a great run there as well. And one colleague said to me, this one was my first colleague. He said, Joachim, I know we have a great solution. I know we will make money out of this, but I'll tell you what, I'm just here for the ride, to have fun. and I thought that was a lovely way of, that because if you are on a ride like we are right now, you really are having fun. This is sort of, this is almost like I shouldn't say once in a lifetime, because I had a previous life where I sort of did it with frequency planning, but in mobile networks. But it's not often you are presented where you have all the ducks in a row and you want to run with it, really.
Mm. Yeah, well, and that's with your vision and energy, and I think that is rinsing out to all the others around with you. So the passion that you have and the drive you have, and of course with your experience, you've been around for so many years. So that experience is very good for companies, and you're very good with the people and getting people with you, technical, sales, board, and so forth. And that's a vital thing. And if you ask investors, what are they looking after? They are looking after the team. That's what they measure. Of course, the product needs to be there and the market needs to be there, but those are tick off. The real due diligence is the people. So that's vital. And I love it when we can have all the fun and the energy around it, and of course we're doing great stuff and moving forward. But the fun is very important.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I know, Susanne, you were looking at where to go in the world. I think Europe is one thing. Nordic certainly is a very special sort of region in Europe. And then, but you have always advised us turn east, go east, go for the emerging. Forget about the sort of don't go the other way over the Atlantic. Rather go for the emerging markets. This is where. That's where you're going to find the gold. Why are you saying and not focusing on a huge market like the US, for instance?
Fantastic question. US is they're having close to 400 million people. Yes, they are fabulous at doing, but it's California. That's where most of the stuff are made. And if you want to have a bank license in the US, you need to have 134 applications to get through it for all the states. So that's the difference. If you go east, it's so huge. India with their 1.3 billion, Indonesia close to 300 million, let alone China. China is a different case, but in Southeast Asia, with the emerging market, the hungriness for new solutions, it's so vast, and if you can tick off some of these countries, you have more than enough to do. So I think it's the ambiance and the government leading the way to become more digital. Look at India with the prime minister there really pushing the digital way. So it's just do the math when it comes to people. East is having much more, and that's where the young generation is growing up rather than the Western society.
Yeah, China is kind of interesting. I woke up this morning and I now I guess you don't gonna have to look every day on CNN to find out what Trump is all about. He's still around for a few more weeks, but there was an article actually on front page in CNN that. It's about CBDC, sort of central bank digital currency. It's about what is happening in China, that the People's Bank of China, the central bank, they are now introducing the digital yuan. And they are serious about it, and really to challenge, because China's, that's the most advanced mobile payments market in the world, but it has been two monoliths, either Alipay and then WeChat, and all of a sudden now they're almost becoming too strong. So now the government is coming back with digital cash, digital yuan. And they were talking about it also from a world political scene, that there is something called a de-dollarization. They don't want to have the dollar dominating as it is. And this move with that, the Chinese central bank is introducing digital cash then, is seen as, the Chinese are moving fast now, and it will put pressure on other central banks. I don't know. I know you are a CEO of Fintech Mundi, sort of. And China is a big part of the world. How do you view the whole CBDC activities going on, and what's happening in China right now? Well, what do you want to comment on that?
China is a vast market, and they have been very clever and smart moving forward and so forth. And they're using the latest of the technology to it. And when you have such a huge market, and you are kind of screened from the rest of the world while you're scaling yourself within China, and then you go outside, it's a unique position. And I understand, of course, the government financial service is regulated all over the world. also in China. So then you have to put on some gates and some clearance and so forth to make sure that this is done in a proper way. Harmonization across the world is happening when it comes to financial service. And here I think Europe is probably leading. They have harmonized across the whole of Europe with the payment service directive leading to open banking and so forth. Singapore is looking very much to Europe to kind of replicate a lot of the regulation that is here. This week is Singapore FinTech Festival, which is including the whole world. So I would say Singapore is probably the place to be situated, also for Crunchfish over time, I think, because they are so financial service friendly. It's a small country, but they have big visions going forward. But yeah. I think your key question is about the digital currency. China is moving on. Sweden has done quite a lot. And now it's a collaboration between Denmark, Finland, Sweden, and Iceland. and Sweden is the hub for the Nordic when it comes to a lot of things, but also the financial service. So BIS is now working with the Federal Bank in Sweden, and the Federal Bank of Sweden is having the Norwegian bank, the Danish bank, and the Iceland bank, and they work together. So it's a lot of collaboration, and that's probably one of the cultural elements I think that we in the Nordic can bring forward. Transparency, openness, harmonize the regulations, and so forth. And we are. What we say is fact and honesty. So the trust element is so key in financial service, and that's what banks usually have. And then now it's for us in the fintechs to make sure that we can earn the trust, complying with the regulations and so forth.
Yeah.
But
and looking at the Nordic market, sort of, you know, you are sort of, when you're not sitting at our board, but your main job is sort of CEO of Fintech Mundi, and you recently, and I read it this morning, you put out a report on the Nordic fintech scene, really interesting, I think, and really talking about what's going on here in the fintech space. I think wasn't it striving, scaling, and sailing, or was that the right sort of?
Yeah, it's a question mark. Are we striving here in the Nordic? Are we scaling, or are we sailing? Yes. And taking the Nordic, then we mean the 4 Nordic, Iceland, and the 3 Baltics, so the 8 countries. This is 35 million people. So we are a small in population, but we pump above our weight. All countries in this region is doing well. So are we striving? That's yes, we are striving on several things, and some of the we'd like to address is that funding is still an issue, and scaling from the Nordic. We need to do collaboration. Sweden is probably the country that is best out of the Nordic and the Baltic in scaling. We have the Klarna, we have the iSettle, we have the Trustly, and so forth. And then cross-border payment and real-time payment is something that's working on, and then the whole world is going to do something. So the Nordic has come far in this, and they're working together, comply with the EU regulation, and then you will have the regulations that is harmonized across it. SMEs are underserved, and that goes for the whole world here in the Nordic, but it goes for the whole world. And that's something that Crunchfish and Blippet is addressing in the Indian market in particular. So financial inclusion, and we have fintechs on the ground, like yourself and a few others that is in the emerging market. But what we are good at in the Nordic is we focus on the top line, the growth. So more and more, the pandemic has forced us to, because the investor, they like to see traction, meaning income on the. They're happy to come in and fund as long as you have the top line growth. And we have a diverse and innovative marketplace to it, and quite many fintech players, in particular in the payment space, so evenly divided between Stockholm, Malmö, Oslo, Gothenburg, Helsinki, Copenhagen, and so forth. So those are some of the elements that we have in the report.
And you can download it if anyone is interested. It is on fintechmundi. Is it .com? Yeah.
.com, yeah. So you find it on the report there.
Yeah, no, I as I said, I think it graphically was beautiful as well. It was a lot of nice. I think you put some effort to make a lot of your diagrams and your explanatory things. That was really beautiful. I think very modern.
Thank you.
So it was great. And looking at cash is king. I have this article that is going to be released, I think, next week on Privata Affärer, cash is king of digital payments, which is sort of, again, playing to that if you can digitize cash, it will be a very, very strong means of digital payment, just like they will see in China. And we will see that, I think, in Sweden as well, because cash has all these sort of unique properties. But you're absolutely right also that for a startup company like, so you could call Crunchfish, cash is king as well. And we are extremely innovative, coming up with so much, but we haven't yet charmed our investors for bringing in these sort of high revenue numbers. You who have seen fintech scaling, and what could you say to what do you think of our prospects? Because I assume that if you hit it, it will go fast, the scaling, but or you will become a lame duck almost, sort of. I don't know how you view fintechs really, that if you're not bringing the cash really, and how do you look at Crunchfish's future?
No, investors, they are in general looking for the top line, the team and the top line. Then they see that something is, because they can convert what they see of the people, and of course the DD on the product and so forth. But then once you get to the income side, those are the things. And then you don't need to have come far on the hockey stick before investors are really because they can calculate and figure out, okay, next year, the year after, and so forth, and they know it's going to go fast once it's hitting off. And with the markets that Crunchfish is having, very good to have Sweden and the Nordic as a test bed. And then you can adjust the technology and the product there. And then once you are in India, then is to go in. How do you distribute? How do you get the sales on? How many are you going to have in India to do the selling there? I have big faith in the product and the team and what you're going to achieve. And so it's just a matter of time to really turn on the keys and then get the big income there. So is this early hockey stick position that you are in, and then how big it's going to be? Big.
Great, Susanne. No, I appreciate it. And next week's theme, I think we have to do it. I think we've interviewed our first guy in India, Vijay Raghunathan, who is our sort of lead in India. We did him during the first season, but I think now you are sort of now we have completed the board after this sort of first theme week. But I really think that the next theme week has to be Crunchfish in India, and let me show Gagan Koshar, Samar Singh, and Drew Singh as well, and interview them, and because they've been part of us for quite some time, and are our people on the ground, and that together with Vijay is sort of very much responsible for the contacts we have there in the local market. So the next 3 episodes here will be Crunchfish in India. I think that would be good. I have to sort of before we end, Susanne, I'm impressed, and I actually looked it up that if you write your name on internet, you will see that you're not sort of in the fintech space. You are a handball player. That is what will come up, because you have to tell us. And now is it the European Championships being played right now?
Yeah, it is. So yes,
you have done 43. You have done 43 sort of national games for Norway. I checked, and you were finished 7 in the World Cup in I don't know what year it was, but somewhere 80s or something like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I used to be a national handball player. So on the youth and the junior, and then eventually the 43 that was on the national team there. So fantastic. And I'm a sports freak and I love handball. And Norway is doing great now in the European. So hopefully they're going to win the top spot.
What do you think about Sweden's chances?
There. So they are progressing, and then they are playing Denmark, I think, today. So that's going to be a battle. If they win over Denmark, then they have a good possibility. Maybe it's going to be Sweden and Norway in the final.
You know, one of my when I grew up, one of my best friends, Jörgen Lindqvist, his daughter is number 23, Emma Lindqvist. Playing in the Swedish team, so it's so great to watch it, really, because it's sort of, and you always hope that I hope they play Emma, you know, and she's a young girl, sort of, and she was in the previous was it the World Champions then, and she really did well when Sweden did well as well, and I think they were in a way the second. What do you call second squad? But when they sort of turned it around for Sweden in the last championships, and you know, she's playing now again, a little bit more experienced. But I think it's a fun game to watch, handball, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very quick, very technical, and a lot of scorings. So that's a fabulous technical game.
So, but you're mentioning Sweden, you're mentioning Norway, you're mentioning Denmark. It's almost like the fintech scene, sort of that strong sort of
you have
the Nordics.
You have France and the Netherlands. They're also very good. So and then it seems like Croatia is also doing well. So there's a lot of good teams in the European space, and this is a typical European game. We're waiting and making sure that the Americas are on, and Africa. And I used to play in the national team against Congo, Algeria, and so forth. South Korea, Japan was there, and hopefully we can have India coming on next time.
Yeah. What position were you, Susanne?
I was a wing.
The wing, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So rushing in a lot of goals, that was my favorite, and then took the penalty score as well. So yeah, I used to play a lot.
Cool. That's cool. I have to sort of end with the COVID situation now in Norway. Are you in quarantine, or are you allowed to? What's happening in Norway right now?
Yeah, they are strict to it. So they encourage people to have home offices and not to travel. So that's why it's a little bit hard to get to Malmö these days.
Yeah.
And if I were to go to Malmö, then I have to maybe in 10 days of quarantine. Yeah. But we have a soft lockdown, I would say. So restaurants are not allowed to have selling alcohol. So they're doing everything to make sure that we're going to have a good Christmas celebration.
Yeah. But in terms of traveling, I think a lot of business people have learned how to use these kind of video meetings. It's kind of dead easy. I can handle it, and you really learn how to do it. So I actually think that business travel will never ever come back to the levels that they were before the pandemic, because not having to travel to Stockholm for a meeting, and you save all the time in the world, and you save money, and you just have an hour's meeting, and then you're off to so many other things. So I can't see anyone want to go back really for a lot of travelings.
I agree with you. So it's going to be lower in that, but I think still people they like to be physical and have the dinners and have the fikas and so forth. So I think you have the balance of both of them, but it was maybe too much traveling on the business side, and maybe also on the private side as well. But it will come back because people are eager to meet each other and travel and be around. It's exciting to be around.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I remember, I drove up to Oslo 2019. I think it was in early in the year, and because you did a great sort of conference, which I guess wouldn't be the same if you just had it digital, about financial inclusion. Will you do that one again? Because I really enjoyed being there at your conference.
Yeah. Our ambition is to have this every second year. So we were supposed to have it in 21. Too early to arrange it because it's hard to drum everything together to do so. But hopefully in 2022.
Yeah. No, I think, and count on Crunchfish being there in one form or another. If
we
I
want
still have
you,
to
we
drive
want
up
you on
myself.
stage. We want you on stage telling about India.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Susanne, I want to thank you personally for being at the board, and you sit also on the Blip It board. And I think you add a lot of energy, drive, experience, and know-how for in this space. And a lot of us are sort of new to this space, and we haven't even talked about all your great background from Nordea and the card industries and so on. But I think people got the picture that you know what you're talking about anyway in this area. And it's really great to have you involved. And I hope we will see each other in sort of person. Even if I really appreciate that you are willing to do these video calls. And thanks for daring to take this sort of interview.
Thank you, Joachim, and it's my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to the successes of Crunchfish.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Okay, take care, Susanne.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.